Hi guys, I'm here to talk about manga and a few other things today because, again, I can't comment on my comments. So people who have asked me questions cannot be answered unless I either talk to them privately or make videos about it. So this one I'm going to do a video about because it is relevant. So first I want to say hello to Die Kitty, and oh my god, you read Saga, please tell us how much you love it, because I love it and I know several other people do, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts on it, so tell us what they are. Next, I'm addressing several questions from a new subscriber. Thank you for subscribing and joining us. Exquisite Defect. She has commented on several of my manga posts, and I'm happy to respond. And since I can't reply to you properly, I'm going to have a whole video about it. First, you mentioned that you think you're ready for Angel Sanctuary. Do that. Angel Sanctuary is good stuff. It's confusing at times, and certainly there's a lot of messed up stuff going on in there, but it's very interesting. And if you are a Saiyuki fan, as I am, because I like having my heart broken repeatedly, then you will enjoy it. I have to say, it's not as messed up, in my opinion, as Godchild, Godchild was like distilling all of the cray from Angel Sanctuary and putting it into 8 volumes instead of 20-something. Yep. Next, you asked what were some of my favorite manga. Well, I have lots of different ones, and of course I have favorites in each genre, but we'll talk about overall favorites right now. Without a doubt, my absolute favorite of all time at this point, 2014, is Naoki Urasawa's Monster, because this will never not be my favorite unless something comes along and just blows me away so hard. But right now, Monster is my favorite. It's a seinen manga about a doctor from Japan living in Germany right around the time the Berlin Wall comes down, and he saves this boy's life, and then it turns out that this boy is a crazy person and has been killing people for a long time, and then decides to do some more because he's trying to make Dr. Tenma see the desolate landscape of the future just like he sees. It's really good, very suspenseful. It's a psychological thriller, and I love this manga, and it's actually a really thick one. Now that I'm looking at it, I don't know that I've ever seen volumes quite this large, except of course unless we're talking about Ooku, which we've all seen me discuss previously. Ooku is an alternative history where a disease has wiped out most of the men in the nation, and therefore women have had to take over and become the businesswomen and politicians. And basically it's a giant gender role reversal. So that's Ooku for you. And it's very good, very political, but super interesting. One of my other favorites, it's pretty old school, Tokyo Babylon. But this is in the same vein as Koriyuki because Clamp breaks your heart. Clamp takes everything that you love and stomps on it really hard. Just saying, look at Subaru. He's a-crying. Subaru cries a lot, and there is a good reason why. Another one of my favorites is Hikaru no Go. This is a shonen title about a boy who learns to play Go because he... Ooh! I have a Tivana business card. It's pretty. It's on see-through paper. So this boy Hikaru comes into contact with this Go board, and a spirit arises, and it's the spirit of a Go master who, I think he died playing Go. I don't quite remember, but he died, but early, you know, in his life. He has come back because his desire to play Go is so strong, and through this boy he can play Go, and he helps this boy learn to play Go because Hikaru first comes into contact with Akira, who's my favorite character, of course. And Akira is a Go prodigy. His father was a Go player. He's one of the Go masters. And so Hikaru sees him as a rival and wants to be good enough on his own to beat Akira, and he becomes that good, and they become rivals slash friends, and it's so adorable. And in general, this is the series that made me want to play Go, mostly because I just wanted to know what was going on. I didn't understand what they were playing, so I looked, read up on it to learn, and I actually found that I really enjoyed it. Another one of my old school favorites is Fruits Basket, about the girl who ends up involved with the family of people who turn into animals when they are hugged by members of the opposite gender, and it's really hilarious, also very heartbreaking. Like, it's not all fun and games. There's some dark material here, even though it's very prettily colored, as shoujo typically is. But I really like this series, and it's well worth the read. It's quite long, but enjoyable. If you've seen the anime series, it goes so much further than that. That anime series cuts right off at the beginning, and yeah, there are like 17 more volumes after that ends. So you do in fact get to see all of the zodiac in the manga, whereas in the anime you only get to see a few of them. So, and if you recognize Ayame, he's awesome and my favorite, and I love his leitmotif in the anime because it is just ridiculous and there are trumpets. Next we have another one of the Clamp titles. This is a newer one compared to Tokyo Babylon. Part of what I like about X-Holic is that the art is beautifully drawn. I think this is technically a different genre than the shoujo that you frequently see Clamp shelved under, and probably that's why the drawing style is different. So this one has a lot to do with ghosts and mystery and people being able to see spirits and how the spirits affect your life and this and that, and the consequences of doing one thing over another or doing something when you've been told you shouldn't, and various other interesting themes. It also crosses over with Tsubasa, which is a fun one, but not my favorite of the two. But they do cross over and they are relevant to each other. So if you're going to read X-Holic, you can read it alone, but it's more interesting if you read it with Tsubasa. And now for some of my more recent favorites. I know I've discussed Natsume's Book of Friends. I've discussed all of these manga before, you've probably already seen it, but I'm just talking about them again, in case anyone wants to know. Natsume's Book of Friends, this is also a boy who can see spirits, but the stories here are much more personal and emotional, and they're really sad. Like, I don't get away reading one volume of this where I don't bawl like a child. I just do. Natsume is a very lonely character. He's struggling to learn how to interact with people and to trust people, and at the same time he wants to leave behind being able to see the yokai, but he can't, but then he's not sure if he wants to because then his life would just be completely different and he thinks it might be a little more boring, and it's complex and I enjoy it. And the stories aren't thrilling and they don't go fast. Like, they're not action-packed stories, they're thoughtful stories, and I just really like that about them. Also Black Butler, I'm sure most manga readers know about Black Butler. This is about the boy who makes a deal with a demon because the boy is basically going to die, and he makes this deal with the demon to get revenge on all the people who hurt him and destroyed his family. This boy also happens to be a descendant of the watchdog for the Queen of England, and therefore he himself becomes the watchdog. And he has a terrible personality, and he's manipulating and conniving, and he's awesome. And the Demon Butler is all of those things in addition, and they sort of hate each other at the same time that they respect each other. So, Black Butler, you're awesome. The artwork in this series gets progressively better and better and better, which is just awesome and phenomenal. I don't even know what to say about that except cool. But honestly, if she makes Sebastian look any better, he's going to come burning off the page, and sad. Next, one of my favorites is Blue Exorcist. It's about this boy who turns out that he's one of the twin sons of Satan. And he didn't know because the priest who has been raising him and his brother didn't tell him and locked away his powers in a sword. So he finds this out when he turns 16, and in the process Satan kills the priest who had been his father this whole time, and, you know, lets that cat out of the bag. And he's like, no, I'm not liking it. So he's going on a quest to become the person who becomes the strongest exorcist ever and destroys Satan. I really like all of the characters in the series. Most of them are young, but some of them are slightly older, and I just think they're all fun. They're not whiny and obnoxious, and they are very entertaining and have very different personalities, so it makes it a very dynamic group, and I enjoy that. So, Exquisite Defect, you mentioned Otomen, which is this one, and also one of my favorites, and you were like, yeah, abandoned gender roles? I'll take that. And I'm like, yes. Abandon gender roles or switch gender roles, you will like this, and it is entertaining, and also be my friend because I like where your priorities are. Finally, you mentioned you'd like to know more about INVU. I have not finished volume 5, which this is, so I will put INVU on the top of my TBR pile to be read because I've been meaning to do some manga and I haven't done any because I've been stuck with some very long books that I'm trying to get through, and I have another stack of very long books here, so time for a break. Time for some manga. In fact, I might even read this tonight. I'll make it a point. So, another thing, unhauling manga. You mentioned that you have Pet Shop of Horrors volumes 1 through 4 and you were thinking, should I unhaul it? Should I reread it and keep it? Well, personally, I think you should reread it and then get the rest of the series and read it, and then what you do with it after that, if you decide whether or not you like it, is up to you. But I struggle with this whole unhauling of manga concept all the time. Like, I'm only now being able to let go of books. Like, I recently read The Handmaid's Tale and something else, I forget. But I let them go because they're not books that, like, punched me in the heart and changed my life. So if things don't punch me in the heart and change my life anymore, I'm more inclined to let them go if they're not part of the group of books that are in my top fave and in, you know, the collection of authors' works that I'm collecting. I liked Margaret Atwood's work. It was super good, and I'm definitely going to read something else of hers, but I don't feel like I have to keep it. The same thing will probably go with manga, but I think I've been considering rereading everything since it's been at least 10 years since I read some of these series. So go back, reread them, see how much I do like them, if my opinions have changed, if I just don't care anymore, and maybe let go of them. But before I do that, I need to read the whole series to make that decision. So that works for some because I have completed series of many, but say the work Please Save My Earth, I don't have all of Please Save My Earth. I only have up to volume 4. I don't have all of Get Backers, and I really liked Get Backers, and where's that anime series anyway? What happened to that? Ugh, whatever. Anyhow, you know, that's a problem because I want to read, you know, all of Please Save My Earth, or all of Get Backers, but they're long series, although at this point I'm pretty sure they're complete, so if I did want to go looking for them, I could probably find them, but I know they're not in print anymore, and I'd have to struggle for it. Unless, of course, somebody out there has a completed series and would like me to review it, and I'm happy to do that if you want to send it to me and I'll pay you. But another issue with unhauling manga especially, I have less a problem with this with regular books, is that, you know, 5 months down the line I'm walking around going, oh, remember that series, it was good. Oh, I wish I still had that. Oh, maybe I should rebuy it. This is happening to me recently with Fake. Fake was a good series that I enjoyed and that I gave away. And I'm like, ugh. But I liked it. Why'd I give it away? I don't know. But I was unhauling most of my yaoi and shonen ai titles, and so I was one of them, and I just don't know what I was thinking. On the other hand, do I really have a super strong desire to read it again right now? Not really. It's mostly because my completionist OCD tendencies are like, give it back, give it back. I don't remember where I sent it. So it's probably with a friend. So if I ever go back to their house, I can maybe reappropriate it. But if I sold it, then no can do. I have a similar but slightly different problem with Wild Adapter, which I gave to a friend of mine. Wild Adapter is by the same mangaka who did Saiyuki. So I found out that Wild Adapter has been restarted overseas, and I expect that it'll eventually come here. Well, now I've given away books 1 through 6. I have to reread them. Don't quite remember what happened. What am I gonna do when I see the new volume out and I'm just like, hey, don't have that anymore? Gonna have to rebuy the whole thing? I hope not. I already need to buy volumes 1 through 11 and 13 of Otomen. So, what am I gonna do? But we'll figure that out later. So far I've been able to hold myself back from repurchasing manga, and thank goodness, because I'm kind of brokish. But back to Pet Shop of Horrors. Do read to the end if you can afford to pick up the, you know, remaining copies, and assuming you can find them, because I think it went out of print also. Because then you have to find out what the little bat mouse creature is, and they tell you toward the end, unless of course you're going to look it up on the internet. You didn't look it up on the internet, did you? So one last of my favorite manga that I mentioned a few minutes ago, but not as one of my favorites, is Godchild. I don't have copies of Godchild because I borrowed that one from the library. I would not be adverse to getting copies of it, I just can't at the present moment, and honestly there's nowhere to put it on my shelf. I need to unhaul some manga. So Godchild, again, is about an Earl? Viscount? I don't know. Anyway, I think it's a count, which I think is the same thing as an Earl, just in a different country. Anywho, bad stuff happens in that series. It's messed up. It's psychological, it's horror, it's a cornucopia of crazy. And one last one for the humor shoujo genre, Ouran High School Host Club. As much press as that one gets, you would think that I wouldn't like it because I have a tendency to be like, oh, about the really popular ones. Because, but actually Ouran High School Host Club, once I read it, is hilarious. It's hilarious, and also, like Fruits Basket, has its dark moments. So, well worth reading if you're into comedy and romance. You have to be into romance because otherwise you might want to puke. It's not that bad because for a long time the characters don't even acknowledge each other, but, you know, don't go into Ouran without some recognition that there's going to be a romance, because it is a shoujo manga, so there you are. But then again, Fruits Basket had a similar romance, so if you liked Fruits Basket style romance, you'll probably be fine with Ouran, because it's not, you know, up to the gills, but it's there. So, you know, it's up to your taste. And that is all, because I'm going to the museum right now, and I'll come back and try to film a review of something when I get back. So, bye!